Is Amazon about to accept cryptocurrency as payment on their platform? This is Around the Blockchain. Thank you for joining, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button because we got 3 fantastic guests on today. It's my favorite 3 ever. We're going to go start with Crypto Lifer on the bottom left with no vest, no tie. He's still rocking the jacket. Crypto Lifer, how are you doing today?
Hanging loose, hanging in there. Thank you for bringing me in. Appreciate it.
All right. Rocking the strong widow's peak. Also on today, we have Cowboys of Crypto. Talking about some of those rural Florida Gators. Have you wrestled any Gators lately?
I have, and I'm looking at a 30K Bitcoin, so you could butter my butt and call me Biscuit. I'm ready for today's blockchain.
All right. Well, I think he's got some extra teeth today. Is that a medulla oblongata? Also on, we have Crypto Blood. He's just shaking his head. He's shaking his head at Bitcoin, just seemingly shaking off all the bears. Crypto Blood, how are you feeling today?
Hey, I'm in my red square, so I'm feeling good, DZ. Let's get it started.
All right. Just the energy there. You're going to start at 1 point. I feel pretty good about the red square today. I don't know, green and blue. We're going to step it up. Let's talk a little Jerome Powell. I wanted to find a picture. What do we have? This is from Reddit. Just typed in Jerome Powell burning down the New York Stock Exchange, walking away in slow motion. Pretty fitting there. I couldn't tell if that was AI or real, but he gave one of his twice a year hearings yesterday in front of a House committee, and Maxine Waters, staunchly against crypto. She asked him about stablecoins. He had a response. We do see payment of stablecoins as a form of money, and it would be appropriate to have a robust role in what happens going forward, talking about the Fed. Well, then Maxine Waters asked him, well, as the Fed chair here, do you have enough power? And he said, allowing a lot of private money creation at the state level would be a mistake. We need more power at the federal. Now, I don't know how that is going to play out. Now, Cowboys Crypto, we were just talking about Florida. Well, they have a governor, DeSantis. He's come out. He's talked about stablecoins quite extensively. What will this look like? Is this going to look like the 1830s where we have different notes in different states? If I have Florida coin, can I spend it on my federal taxes? Can I spend it at, Disney Park in California? How is this going to work?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Look, when we're talking about stable coins, I'm not too sure. It's too early to tell. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to have a Florida coin or a Massachusetts coin or whatever. But one thing I do know is that they want control. It seems like they want to shut down and shut out like the small competitors, and they want to have like big incumbents, people that are favored, people that they trust. They want to have those guys at play. Do I think that they're going to go private? Do I think they're going to set their own CBDC? I don't know, but here's what I do know. I was watching WrestleMania 19, Stone Cold versus The Rock. And in a back and forth battle, The Rock won. Why did The Rock win? Was he faster? Was he stronger? Did he hit harder? No. It's the WWE. It's fixed. Okay. The Rock won because they said The Rock will win. And so if there is a battle of stable coins or CBDC and they're like, oh, yeah, you don't know what this one's better, that one's better. It's an illusion. Okay. When I look at the Fed, I see a locus of control. I see control. It's the blinders that we have on to think that, oh, okay, we're going to have someone battle it out with the Fed. No one's fighting the Fed. All right. And Jerome Powell is just a crony. Okay. Jerome Powell, he's just a crony doing the Fed's bidding, doing the financial institution establishment. If Jerome Powell leaves, another person is going to just continue that mission forward. And what we have to do is we have to understand that Bitcoin and stablecoins and like cryptocurrencies offer another system, a way out of the system, something that you don't conform to their false sense of like, oh yeah, you're in control, baby. Sweet baby, you're in control. That's all ridiculous. And so when you realize that they're all about control, especially with the stable coins, especially when they're talking about robust regulation, that really just sticks in your throat like a hair in a biscuit.
All right. And yeah, we've seen it a lot. And I'm glad that you brought up WWE. Just I can't help but think of, 1998 when The Undertaker threw Mankind off the cell and plummeted 16 feet through the announcer's table. It's a time I'll always remember. Mankind, what was some of his other names? He had Mankind. It wasn't Dusty Rhodes, was it? Dude Love. There's a couple of. Didn't he have like 5 names? I don't
There's
know.
one more. Yeah.
He
Nick
had the
Fuller.
sock. He had the sock puppet too. All right. A little blast from the
Mankind.
past. All right. Well, Crypto Lifer, quick question. Did you
Dude
also
Love.
watch wrestling back in the day?
My dad didn't allow me to watch wrestling.
Oh man, that
Being
is
a
too bad.
hardcore
You
Boston
weren't
guy,
part of
It was
Hulkamania.
two guys in Speedos dancing around. It wasn't cool with my
All
dad.
right. Well, when you say it that way, Lifer. All right. Well, I want to talk about Powell's quotes. And I think Cowboys Crypto, he did a pretty good job, comparing it to wrestling. Well, I'm looking at some of his quotes when Maxine was asking him about, the authority of the Fed. Quote: "It would be appropriate to have a robust federal role in what happens going forward." Jerome Powell wants a robust federal role. What does a robust federal role look like?
Thank you so much for the question. I mean, it looks like Jerome Powell on a Speedo eating sea biscuits.
Do not type that into AI prompt. We do not want that AI art existing on the interwebs.
Put that in Mid-Journey. So, basically what they want to do is they want to be as silent as they can until they have to speak about it, right? So like they'll be in these meetings and then someone will bring up, well, how are we going to regulate these in the states? And they're like, oh, well, the states shouldn't be able to do that. That would mess up our control, He keeps saying they're going to get to 2% inflation. It's never going to happen. I can tell everyone to their face today, it's not going to happen. They're never going to get to 2% inflation. They've printed way too much money. At this point, it's all damage control. Everything else we see is just keep the people at bay, because here's the deal. I've been saying this, damned if they do, damned if they don't. Say the Fed just lets things go and say, we're going to let the free market do its thing. And, basically inflation spirals out of control. People basically can't, you have to spend $10 on milk, $15 on milk. The average wage doesn't go up, right? You have people on Social Security. They're not getting any more money. Then everything gets more expensive. It's a mess. Okay. Boom. And then everyone would say, you didn't do enough. You didn't do anything, because they made the people think they could do something. So now they have to act like they can, right? So like once you lie, the lie becomes the truth, and you have to continue to lie as if it is the truth. So that's the first thing that's wrong. Now, if they continuously press and say, okay, we have the answer, we know what to do, we know that eventually we're going to go into heavy inflation anyway, and people are going to be throwing rocks outside the Federal Reserve. So they're going to be blamed either way. I think they have to do something so they can at least say, like, they can pull the Walensky, like, oh, we just didn't know at the time, but that's what we thought was true at the moment, So they're in between a rock and a hard place. They have to keep up the roll. They have to keep the lies going. They have to keep buttering up the biscuits, so to speak. You got me thinking of biscuits every time I come on the show.
Well, you keep saying rock. Between rock and a hard place, I'm like between Dwayne Johnson and what, a wall. I don't know what we're talking about here. All right, well, let's go to the wheeling, dealing, limousine riding, jet flying son of a gun. Heard he has a hard time keeping those alligators down. The CFTC has been weighing in on this as well. Crypto Blood, he spoke in front of the House committee as well, just kind of, saying the licensing authorities with this bill, they're going to have discretion to deny services to politically disfavored businesses, maybe like a Canadian trucker type situation here. So we have a battle forming. CFTC's throwing shots, SEC's throwing shots. CFTC says, well, stables are clearly a commodity. Jerome Powell, the Fed, Gary Gensler even, well, they're saying, no, stablecoins, that's clearly a security. Well, what do the blood-alytics say? I mean, is a stablecoin a security? Is it a commodity? What do you think here?
How about answer C? It's money. It's money, bro. That's all it is. It's crazy that they're even having this conversation because it literally is a digital copy of the US dollar or the euro or the yen or whatever pound. So it's money. And so how are they going to regulate this? I have no clue. They definitely have a problem on their hands because I don't think constitutionally, I'm not a constitutional expert here, but I believe that federally they can't mandate whether or not a state decides to adopt a currency, a local currency. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens, especially your more conservative states. I can see them going rogue and saying like, hey, we're going to have our Texas dollar or, Florida dollar or whatever. And to hell with you. You can't do anything about it. So it's going to be interesting, DZ, to see how this all pans out. This is probably the end of the United States. This is the beginning of the end, I should say, where we have continuity amongst all states from a monetary system. I think we're starting to see a cracking in that system right now.
Yeah. Every now and then we are reminded, well, we're technically a republic of 50 states, and sometimes we act a little bit more like that than one cohesive unit. All right. Well, speaking of a unit, we got Jeff Bezos. That's right. Well, look, guys, he's jacked these days. I think we have a picture of him. He's telling you to hit the like button. He's pointing at you at home.
Or is he
Go ahead.
at the T-Mobile ad?
Oh, no. Yeah, you're saying how bad they are and how you should go ahead and bypass their internet provider to hit that like button even that much more quickly.
Right? Verizon,
yeah, and AT&T especially. All right, well, Amazon, they might potentially start accepting stable coins. There's a little wrinkle here. This is going to be in Singapore before it ever comes to America, it appears. We had a little bit of a consortium of government agencies. Basically, the IMF was there. Singapore's Fed, is the MAS, I believe. And they were talking about CBDCs along with the National Central Bank of South Korea and the Central Bank of Italy. So Italy Central Bank, South Korea Central Bank, Singapore authorities, IMF authorities. They're meeting, and they're meeting with some private companies. One of them you may have heard of, Amazon. Amazon is in the talks, and they want to get some sort of stable coin framework in line for, let me read the quote here. Not just a pilot program, but a protocol designed to work with different ledger technologies and forms of money. Different ledger technologies and forms of money, and tokenized bank liabilities. Stablecoins, together with smart contracts, could serve as a medium exchange for this new digital asset ecosystem. I'm feeling pretty good about this on one hand, Lifer, but then there's the part of me that's jaded, the part of me that's scorned, the part of me that's been burned. And I see the marriage between corporate entities and governmental agencies. On one end, isn't this good for crypto adoption? But on one end, it may be bad for freedom. What is your take? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Is it too early to tell?
No, this is like the cartoon where the villain gets, all of the kryptonite or whatever they're all going after, like everyone loves it, but not in the wrong hands. So, crypto assets, because I want to get away from calling them cryptocurrencies, right? So we can get away from them getting, shout out to Wendy O for getting that in my head. But crypto assets are, it's very similar to how people talk about certain weapons or certain things in the world, how they can be used for good or used for bad, depending on how the person that's using them, right? And AI is a very similar topic here. AI could help us. We could do great farming. We could help the environment. We could do things faster. But someone could also imprison us with AI, and you won't be able to move, like with that movie 12 Monkeys, right? So the idea behind it all is, what's the intention behind it? I don't get a good feeling between corporate cyborgs like Jeff Bezos, man. You know what I mean? The guy's a weirdo, man. And it's funny, whenever someone seems to get high up into business, like Zuckerberg, or they seem to get, number one, not only do they buddy up to these agencies, but as we've seen before, they get bullied by these agencies and they do their bidding, just like Zuckerberg did. We won't get too deep into it, but we all kind of read the files and saw what happened. So they get high up, they have no backbone, they don't stand for anything. And then they're easily swayed by the IMF and these big banks, big governments. Klaus Schwab's going to be sitting there with his bald head, rubbing his bald head next to Jeff Bezos's bald head, and they're going to be like, doing this. So it's like the sad thing is we don't have the right people that are getting very, very powerful. We need more crypto billionaires to be able to step up and weasel their way in, but they're not being let in. This is Blood said, this is a small group of people. Get Rice talking about it too, like, where you're not in, you're not in the club not in the club, man. You're not part of them. So I don't like it at all. It smells horrible. I get the heebie-jeebies, man. I see this like, oh, we're going to use Amazon on the back end to test this World Bank coin that we're going to try to imprison people with. And they're going to be able to say what you're buying, what you're not buying. If you happen to lean one way politically, but out of nowhere, this transaction's not going through. Oh, I swear I sent money to this campaign last week. All out of nowhere, your bank account has trouble. Something's happening. We've already seen it now in the system that we have now, like people getting their bank account shut down due to political reasons and stuff, which has been exposed. Chase Bank already in numerous articles. So, what happens when you give them more control?
I think they get happy. I think they might even start laughing, and it might look a little something like this. It's a very interesting laugh. That was my impression of it. Now, Crypto Blood, you said something in the first segment. This could be the beginning of the fall of, at least our American dominance on the fiat space. I want to ask you about another realm of American dominance. Is this the beginning of our end of our technological dominance on a global level?
I wouldn't go that far. No. If I put my tinfoil hat on, I think we have a lot of tech from the black budget, a lot of alien, technology that I think maybe one of the only nations that have. So I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far. But as far as monetarily, yes, our dollar hegemony is definitely dying off. I think in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll see a transition probably to like a basket of currencies. I don't think another currency will just outright take that control, that power. But I do think we will see a basket of currencies be the next kind of global dollar or global currency, if you want to say.
Okay. Well, that's a good point. Basket.
Hey, hopefully Bitcoin's in there. Hopefully Bitcoin's in that basket.
All right. Yeah. Well, Cowboys, that leads me to my next question. I'm going to read the quote one more time. The protocol is designed to work with different ledger technologies and different forms of money. Crypto Blood say, maybe a basket of different currencies. What do you think is the most likely strategy, what they're going to accept? Is it going to be, Italian currency, Korean currency, or are you thinking more like stable coins plus Bitcoin? Or let's go a step further. Is it going to be Doge and Sheeb?
Yeah, this is an interesting question because what if we're not supposed to allow Amazon to work with these big central banks in different countries, who are they supposed to work with? What is their option when they're supposed to hey, we want to get into crypto. What are we supposed to do? Let people pay in 4chan coin? Let's make an Amazon coin. Let's pay in Cowboy coin. It doesn't make sense. So what the most logical thing for Amazon to do is to work with these guys. Now, I'm not sure if we all know this or not, but they're already putting out these stable coins. They already have. It's called Unicoin. Right? This was pointed out. This was put out by the Digital Currency Monetary Authority. This is also by the IMF. They put out Unicoin. You guys can research and look it up. And it's one of those stable coins that actually is already been tested, already functioning, already out there, and it's configurable to any regulatory rules and compliance to any country. They could change it. It's like little switches. They could turn them off or turn them on. Now, with that already been out there, these things are it's moving forward. Regulatory clarity in different countries are moving forward, and Amazon is just going to try to test the waters. And so in this case, I like it. I like everything that's happening here. And here's why. Because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And in this case, they're trying to take away market share from who uses the US dollar in these other countries. Let's use this Unicoin thing. Let's use this Amazon.com coin thing. Whatever, right? But now the United States is forced, in my opinion, they're forced to push the envelope into regulatory clarity here in the United States. So they need to figure out what's happening with stablecoin, what's happening, how are we going to deal with that? Because it's already being pushed out there in other countries. And that's where all the business is going to go. That's where all the innovation's moving. And that's how people are going to be using it. So in one sense, I do like it for that reason. Like it pushes the agenda and pushes the envelope and forces the hand of the United States into regulatory clarity.
All right. I tend to agree with that. It makes me want to get a PO box in one of these other countries because I agree. I think they're going to, they're going to be in the fast lane. We're going to be in the slow lane with some speed bumps. I might have to try to get a South Korean little passport maybe. All right. Well, let's move on. Talk a little MicroStrategy. Let's pull up an old photo of old Michael Saylor here. It's him back in his brown hair days. Less, I don't know, is he more Chad with the gray hair or the brown hair? Let us know, chat. Well, the $4 billion Bitcoin bet. I didn't say that incorrectly. They have $4 billion worth of Bitcoin. Boy, the bet just turned positive yesterday. As of yesterday, they're in the green, folks. They are a publicly traded company, so they have to submit quarterly reports. Their last quarterly report was May 1st. They have roughly 140,000 Bitcoin. We'll see if that changes by August 1st is when their next report is. So we'll report any changes. But at this week, Saylor, he was on Bloomberg television. He's talking about Bitcoin. He has some pretty wild predictions, of course, with Bitcoin. Not only is it digital, we're cyber hornets in the digital space. We're also Granite in Manhattan. But he also believes Bitcoin dominance could hit 80%. I looked earlier today, we're at 48%. So we're close to a doubling of the Bitcoin dominance there. Year to date, their stock doing pretty good, folks. They're up, 127%. Now, crypto lifer, 140,000 Bitcoin, $4 billion of Bitcoin. 10 years from now, are we going to think this guy is the Bitcoin king of the world, or is he just going to be a court jester?
No, I mean, he made one of the most smartest economic buys in the world at the right possible times. And then when he was smart enough to double down on the lows, he admitted himself, if you ever watched one of his interviews, that he's the worst trader ever and he's not good at trading. So he doesn't claim to be great, but he timed the market pretty good. He definitely bought into close to the bottom. I remember him getting in somewhere into the 19 and the 20,000 regions again. He continued to buy into the bear market. He bought the blood. He stayed with his conviction. And, I saw him live in Miami too. And certain things he said hit me that I didn't, you think you've heard it all, but then I'm sitting there listening to him and he's like, fine, invest in corn. What happens when there's a monsoon and, and it rains out all the corn for the year, right? Because it can't like stay solid into the soil and it starts getting everywhere. Or what if there's a drought in another country? So corn's not that great. He's like, invest in gold. He's like, they'll find another way to bring out gold. Every year they bring out a little more gold. Another gold miner comes out. It's been 10 years. Gold's went from like $1,000 to $2,000. So, right. Invest in, and he goes through all the different resources that you would put your cash in, like if you had excess cash as a business. And he's like, or you can invest in the best form of basically digital energy. Like people don't realize it's recycling the energy that the computers are using, right? And then they try to say, well, it's not green, but there's like the lumber industry, the washing machine industry. I looked it up. There's like 5 other giant industries right now. I think even the banking industry itself to this day, and all the buildings, all the heat, all the lights, all the paper, all the photocopies, all that stuff still out trumps Bitcoin. So when you look at it right now, Bitcoin is a great use of energy. It's a great recycle use of energy. And once we start recycling the energy, like we can, we're doing in El Salvador with the volcanoes, and we find more and more sustainable ways. I think people are going to realize that he made the biggest bet ever, man. I believe Bitcoin is going to go down in history as one of the greatest inventions in the human history, like ever. Like people don't realize how insane the guy made it come out in 2009 after the housing crisis for a reason, right? It's the only thing that actual politicians had to talk about in this next big presidential run. Bitcoin is on the table. They have to discuss it. It was less than a penny 10 years ago. 10 years from now, it's going to be, I believe, well over $1 million. People that didn't get in at these prices right now are going to be kicking themselves. The last run up we just saw proved that people that were waiting for 10K and 15K are probably never going to see it.
Yeah. Once again, I was talking about this in the morning. I'm still publicly saying that was the bottom. We'll see. I made the big prediction then, and I'm still sticking by that. All right. Well, Cowboys of Crypto. Yep. We actually have a picture of Michael Saylor from Bitcoin Miami 2023. I think this was maybe even taken by Crypto Lifer right before he heckled him and said, I can out-trade you. All right. We're kidding, of course. I think we're all kind of fans.
I did heckle him. He gave me a fist bump. I didn't get a chance. I was like, say something to the lifers. He's like, just tell them to hodl. Just hodl. I mean, what else do you want?
That's perfect, actually. One more point for that. Good little story. I like that. All right. Well, I'm looking at what they have going on with 140,000 Bitcoin Cowboys of Crypto. He seems like he wants to double down on this, but what about when Bitcoin becomes, even higher, 80K Bitcoin, 100K Bitcoin, as the price goes up? Do you think he'll divest and maybe into real estate, maybe in acquiring companies, or is he just going to be forever adding to the position?
Yeah, forever is the key term here. If you think that Bitcoin is the Godzilla asset of your entire lifetime, that this is Manhattan before Manhattan, it's always a good time to buy Bitcoin. This is his mentality. So yes, I think he's going to double down. And I think that he's going to give that same advice to everyone else. Double down, buy more Bitcoin. Why? Because this is the greatest asset of our entire lifetime. This is his belief. I'm not like right there, right? But this is why he's the king of Bitcoin. He buys in with that conviction. He brought over a whole bunch of money and people with him, institutional money with him to get into Bitcoin. He's educated all these guys. So if you believe, as he does, Bitcoin's going to $1 million, like Kathy Wood says. if you're buying at 15K versus 30K Bitcoin and it goes to $1 million, that's still a heck of a return. So Bitcoin is like the rising tide here. So it's one of those things where it's going to, the more that increase, it's going to increase all of crypto. Everyone's going to be piling to, everyone's going to want to make sure that Bitcoin is that monetary or that financial asset or instrument that's going to be, running up. Now, Bitcoin dominance as far as 80%, I think it takes about 4 things. I think one, everyone knows this, it's going to be regulatory clarity, one of those things where it's going to bring in a lot of scary big money, right? 2, adoption of crypto. This is included like ease of use, high utility, oracles, those all have to be figured out. 3, financial policy abuses have to stop. It's one of those things where like the distrust for the elite or the governments, that's one of those things, like abuse of that financial policy. That's gotta, the more that increases, the more it's bullish for Bitcoin, in my opinion. And so as those things continue to increase, and for us, like the peer-to-peer stuff, like music industry, I know they hate the middleman. It's all there, right? The utility is so wide, and making sure that there's so much utility for it, for as far as Bitcoin. At the end of the day, as far as crypto goes, I know he doesn't like crypto, but you buy crypto to get rich. You buy Bitcoin to get wealthy. You buy crypto if you're impatient. You buy Bitcoin if you are patient. And if you buy crypto, well, you're trying to solve a financial problem. But if you buy Bitcoin, you're trying to solve a freedom problem. And adoption of Bitcoin is off to the races like a herd of turtles. But who always wins the race? The turtles. Hold your Bitcoin.
Yeah. Or Mario Andretti or Dale Earnhardt, rest in peace. Well, I put a question in the chat. Let us know, will he buy after we hit 50K? Do you see him buying a 55K Bitcoin, 60K Bitcoin? I like Eric Carlson's prediction. Saylor is going to buy again in the 40s this summer, and then it's going to drop down to 30, but he'll look like a genius come 2025. I can see that playing out potentially. All right. Well, Crypto Blood, I want to ask you about, Cowboys just said it. You don't buy Bitcoin to get rich. And I always throw this quote out. Our buddy Faye said, no one's ever going to get rich buying and holding Bitcoin like an idiot. So some feel the opportunity to get rich off of Bitcoin has passed. I tend to agree with that. But is there a play with Bitcoin related stocks? They are a little bit more volatile. Is there something, is it a little bit more risky, but potential better payoff with MicroStrategy stock or even mining stocks? You're muted. It's Michael Saylor and the Cyber Hornets.
Yeah, he's trying to get me. Cowboy, it's the tortoise, not the turtle, my friends. The tortoise, not the turtle.
Tortoise and the
but
hare.
I would say,
dang it, that's 2 points right there.
They're different. Nah, go look it up. Nah, I gotta Google that boy. Go Google that.
Subtract 1 from Cowboys.
So to answer your question, I'm with you, DZ. I think that Bitcoin's your opportunity to really get rich on Bitcoin is probably past. But the good thing is that I think you're going to see a rotation of wealth out of Bitcoin at some point into these other, if you want to call them utility or smart contract coins and tokens. That is a great and big opportunity for everyone out there still looking to make some money and some generational wealth with this whole crypto thing. Bitcoin, yes, you don't buy Bitcoin to get rich, but you also shouldn't be buying Bitcoin to get wealthy, because ultimately Bitcoin is about functionality. Bitcoin is about independence, self-sovereignty. You want to be able to, not have a bank come in, or not a bank, but an agency come in and take your Bitcoin or freeze your assets. It's about having that liberty, that monetary liberty. So at the end of the day, that's truly what it's about. I said this on my channel a few days ago, DZ. It doesn't matter if Bitcoin is at 50 cents, 20 cents, 1 penny. As long as the technology works, I am able to circumvent this monetary system and send money from one point on the earth to another without any IRS or other government agencies getting in the way. So that's the beauty of it. Now, what is the value on that? No one really knows. We can all speculate, but you should really be trying to get people into this space for the utility, for that one characteristic of Bitcoin, in my opinion.
What are your thoughts on MicroStrategy stock as a way to get rich off of Bitcoin?
Probably not. No, I would do mine. If you're going to do that, it would be something like a mining stock that's
Okay.
actually going to make some money off of that price appreciation other than just holding the Bitcoin.
Okay.
Bitcoin is a non-productive asset. Okay.
Good
It doesn't
point. Good
yield
point.
you anything.
Yeah.
So people have to remember that.
You're just banking on MicroStrategy's bank account going up, so it goes up, versus creating value from, say, revenue off services provided.
Exactly.
Good point there. Good point there.
It yields
If you are going to
freedom,
get a mining stock, I do like Marathon
It
Digital
does yield.
Holdings.
I like that. It
Yeah,
yields freedom. Absolutely.
So check those out. I tend to think, here's my 2 cents on Bitcoin related stocks. They're going to be more volatile. So Bitcoin goes up 80%. That stock might go up 120%. But when Bitcoin falls 60%, that stock might fall 80%, 90%. So just be a little bit careful. It's similar to altcoins in that manner. But I think that's all we got time for in Crypto Lifer. He ended up taking it home. What were we talking about it for? Oh, it's the Powell. He had the Powell, Pow on Powell. And he just really brought it. So my pal, Lifer, feel free. Take it away with some parting thoughts.
Yeah, I was being extra calm today. I wasn't trying to rant too much. It's rainy here, and I have a skylight above me, so it's kind of like like get the sun, like the cloud.
I thought you meant it's raining confetti. It's raining confetti as well.
It was raining. It's as I said that I should have kind of. Man, I'm not as quick as you, DZ. Dang it. But I appreciate everyone on here coming on for Around the Blockchain, especially on Thursdays at 5. Thank you for having Blood on. Thank you for having my man Cowboy. Always brings it. Really good intellectual conversations about the global sphere and what's happening in our space and where we'll be in the years to come. We'll look back on these times and we'll realize that the true people here on YouTube were the pioneers of the space. We gave it identity when it first really came onto the scene, and just be proud that you're one of the few people here, right, beginning, the early stages of cryptocurrency. You're on the boat to the new world, and have no fear. We're going to win this battle because they're going to continue to print money, and that's a fact. Throughout history, that's going to continue to happen, and because they're going to continue to do that, and Bitcoin's going to continue to have a halving, it's 8-year-old math, supply and demand, and we're going to be all right.
All right, I like that. And, we are pioneers, and we need some pioneers to hit that like button. We're only at 269, 272.
Hit that like button. What's going on?
I'm going to take my
Stop
hat
playing
off.
games.
I'm going to put a belt buckle on it. I'm going to go hang out with some Indians. That's all we got. Till next time. Be easy.
God bless.